Now, sign off for 3 weeks. All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with minutes from last month. Everybody had an opportunity to read over them. Are there any questions from council? Corrections that you know of? If not, I will take the motion from the secretary to file them. I will make that motion. Motion by Greg, second by Gary. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. We will open up the public comment.
Jessica Vallis, 22 Cherry Street. Mandy Krawcheck from 18 Cherry Street said she wished she was here, but the baby's sick and she had dinner on the stove. That's all.
Anybody else?
I think we're just gonna go up there quickly, just to say. All right, 109 Main, Kayla, yeah, you got it, you got it. Holy cow. You need to take that out, strike that from the minutes. I just wanna kind of let everyone know, I have been working on the feral population, of cats. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of kittens due to distemper. Distemper is running rampant. It's like 90% fatal for the kittens. So if you do happen to see one that is no longer living, please bury it properly or even get a hold of me. I know a vet that will take them free of cost for cremation. But if anybody locally, next week I'll start again because it's been about 2 weeks since December broke out. If anybody in town needs me to come trap at their house, I will gladly do so with your permission, the owner, property owner, non-council permission. There are two.
All right, we will go into the engineer's report.
No report.
Solicitor's report.
Okay, the deed transferring of real estate here to the borough has been completed. It's been recorded. I gave the original deed to Todd this evening to put in the safe, or otherwise wherever we put it for safekeeping. I would assume that the insurance has been put on the building and all that wonderful stuff.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. As far as the mediation ongoing with the borough and with Loganville and the authority, nothing new to report on that. I will get into a little more detail on some of the things that are discussed in the sewer authority statement when we get down into that, but I think it could be reflective of why that hasn't been scheduled. And you have nothing for state
No new
police?
information this month.
No new information on state police.
Anybody have anything for the solicitor right now?
I just want to thank you for all the work you did to get, and Todd, to get the building finally in the borough's name. It's taken a while, but I think that's a really great thing that it's done, and thank you so very much.
Well, it really didn't do anything. Oh, it did. I mean, it just was weird why it took so long. And I mean, I ran into Heather Vance Rittman, the Deputy Attorney General, who was in charge of charities, at another hearing on another matter, ironically involving another ambulance elsewhere. And they just, it was one of those things, apparently just fell through the cracks. And, or it's like my desk, it takes me 3 weeks to get to something that takes 5 minutes to deal with, because I've got about 100 things there. Either way, it's done, it's over, we're happy.
Good.
Mr. Snyder may not be.
That's the long way around, thank you.
Okay. Ken didn't do anything.
You mean Mr. Smith?
Mr.
Right,
Smith.
yes.
You said Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith.
Mr.
Yeah,
Hess.
definitely strike that, Mr. Smith. We'll deal with Mr. Snyder later in the meeting.
All right, zoning and code enforcement.
Yeah, everyone has a copy, and if anyone has any questions, on the very last page where it says inquiries, I see I forgot to put the house number, where it says Church Street. There were 2 inquiries about the properties for sale. It's actually 150 Church Street, which was a property where the house burned. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is on the first page, 3537 Church Street. I did provide council and the mayor with a copy of a letter that I sent earlier in September after learning that Mr. Landis was trying to rent out, I'll call it the cottage. And I did talk to his listing agent, and she was going to talk to him. And as recent as Friday, I believe it was, Mr. Landis spoke to the sewer authority about getting sewer capacity and what have you. And I know Angie explained to him that, there's only 2 EDUs assigned to that property. But you saw my letter also said there's zoning issues, so just something we need to keep an eye on. If anyone sees that becomes occupied, if you'll let me know, please.
It's saying here too that he has mentioned that it was occupied throughout occasionally.
Off and on, yeah.
It was never occupied since sewer was in, ever.
Is this the property we referred to about 20 years ago, the one with the little house?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly the same one, yep.
Yeah. I mean, it was made very, very clear back when that the owner at the time, I remember it was a woman, I remember this issue came up when I first came on solicitor. She specifically and deliberately said, I only want to buy 2 EDUs, I don't want a 3rd EDU, and the little house in the back will not be rented as a residence. And ever since then, we've been having problems.
I think the only time I've heard people living there were supposedly if they were visiting,
It was her son lived there for a time.
something like that, it was a relative that was visiting or whatever. It was not,
When her son got married, Bruce's son got married, he lived in that little place. That was before the sewer went in. After the sewer went in, they never rented it out.
And I have couple things when you're done.
Yeah, other than that, yeah. So
Well, the judgments that we had on 57 and 59, is at Main Street. Main Street have been transferred to the commentary's office, so they're on file in the county. And we did lien the 35 Main Street for weeds and nuisance.
34.
34, okay. I'll get it right when the meeting's over.
Yes, that's a firehouse.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, correctly, but he has his eyes lit up.
You can burn the weeds. Yeah, it's been a long day. Typical.
And my understanding is, I didn't get it officially from the agent, but my understanding is that property, 34 Main Street, has sold. So that was really interesting because I had 70 phone calls that I fielded in a week about that property. And what was odd about it, 2 of them had to do with car repair, auto sales, and then 2 different ones had to do, one was for kennel and one was for dog training. So I just thought, especially the dog one, I thought was kind of strange. There was 2 of them, but my understanding is the property was sold and that the person that bought it is looking at auto sales, truck sales. We'll see.
What's 34, is that the old nursery?
Mhm.
Patriot's old property.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, zoning codes?
We talked about
Fire company?
I haven't been here for almost 2 months. I had, family issues and plus I was on vacation, so I have no update. I'm sorry.
Okay. Kayla? You want to talk about Parks and Rec?
Yep. That's me again. So right now, big focus, that we have event-wise coming up for the Spring Grove recreational. Everything is on Pumpkin Trail this weekend at, Little Creek. It is Saturday from, what time now?
I think it's 3 to 8.
I think it's, yeah. And they just added The balloon.
I think balloon.
Yes, I got that information today. They are adding on, hot air balloon. So if you really wish to go, and get in a hot air balloon, they are tethered, okay? So it's not, you're not going off anywhere, okay? I don't think so. Fingers crossed for everyone. But they will have the hot air balloon, donations accepted. You do have to have a ticket for the pumpkin trail to go to the hot air balloon. But yes, all sorts of goodies for the kids. I'm currently, carving up pumpkins for the pumpkin trail too. So that's all I'll tell you. Any questions for me?
What was the date again?
It's Saturday, this Saturday, the 12th.
Yeah, and if I could add,
Yes,
the,
please.
the Walker movie that we had here, in the Borough on 9/6, it went fine. I was told by them that there was more attendees here for our first event than it was at Farmers Field for their first movie night, so that was encouraging, to hear that. We did have a monthly meeting on the 24th, just discuss some business. This Wednesday at 1 and 2 o'clock, we have some committee meetings down at the rail trailhead for the playground. 1 o'clock is DCNR, and then 2 o'clock is General Recreation Playground. Is going to come and do a presentation. Gil mentioned the pumpkin walk, and then before next meeting, their big thing is the borough's hosting the Halloween parade on Wednesday, the 23rd in Spring Grove Borough.
That is right. The parade.
Can you remind me of the date? I know this is the 5K still happening, correct? Or we're working on it still?
Yeah,
Or
it's
still in
in,
like a
I don't
planning.
have my calendar.
It's kind of so the 5K was a hesitation date, I think
Okay.
it was, and I think we've kind of had to move it
Okay,
due to
no.
events.
No, that's
So
fine.
it's not yet in,
A finalized. Okay,
yeah,
no, that's
not a
fine.
final date, but once we get it,
Yeah,
obviously,
was that in November?
It was supposed to be
December.
either
It was
end
a
of,
December date.
I think it was either very end of November or very beginning of
Okay.
December,
Okay.
but I'm not sure, I think
No, that's fine, that's
we're
fine.
pushing
It
it
gives
back a
me
little bit.
This gives me an idea.
Yeah, but we'll definitely, once we get that concrete down, like, then,
It was also mentioned at the meeting on the 24th that in November, Todd, that Kate and Larry Richardson from the YMCA are going to go on tour to the municipalities just to give them an update, give us an update on the transition and what that's going to look like.
At DCNR meeting at the trailhead, when was that?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. 1 and 2, at 1 PM and 2 PM.
Okay.
I knew you were there for the last one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Boss might not see me leave
Sneak out,
Wednesday.
just take a
Yeah,
extended lunch.
I can sneak out.
There you go.
That's possible.
Yeah.
All right, anything else, Parks and Rec? Thank you. Unfinished business.
Yeah, Greg had raised last month the question about the bridge replacement on Maple Street. I do have an email here that I tracked down. The county is looking to replace the Maple Street Bridge over the south branch of Dorset Creek, so it's right there at the Seven Isles Borough, North Dakota Township line. They don't have any specific dates, but they're saying construction is scheduled for the 25-26 construction season. Detours expected to last about 120 days. And they do have a detour route, which when we get close to that time, I'll post on Facebook and our website. But basically what they're showing for the detour is Main Street going up over the hill to Yellow Church Road to LaRue Road, and then LaRue Road down to 616, and then back, of course, to Seven Valleys.
Why wouldn't they just take it around the north end? They're all state highways.
Anything else?
And my understanding always was when you detour state highway, it has to be on state highway. That looks like only something the traffic engineer could come up with.
Yeah, because it would only make sense to go down 214 and back up 616. It's just like, that's a good question. I will raise that question.
Unless they don't want
You can't go under the bridge.
coming in.
Oh.
Would you want a truck
Oh,
on a Borough road?
Bigger trucks on the-
Well, theoretically,
That- yep.
tractor trailers have been taking the alternative down the Borough Road and around to hit 616. Because when they come off 516 and they come in through, the truck routes takes them down to, LaRue Road.
Okay.
They're supposed to.
Anything else on Maple Street?
That's all I have.
Does council have any comments about chickens?
I say we take a vote. Who wants chickens and who don't? I've had enough people call me and tell me they don't want chickens, they don't want to even see them. I don't know how you feel, but I've had people call me, I've had people see me post about this, and they do not want
So-
chickens in the borough.
And the way it's written right now, there should be no chickens in the borough. So we would, the vote would
So, in
be,
the village center.
yeah, right, okay, in the village.
Yeah.
So if there's nothing said, then we don't have chickens in the borough, correct? If we don't change
The
anything.
village center.
I think Todd's email was very informative, because currently chickens are not allowed in the village center zoning district. You've considered in the past whether or not you want to do an amendment to permit it. An applicant would have a right to seek a variance, but to me, there's no way, because there's absolutely no hardship. And again, I think Todd put it very forward in his email. It basically says either take no action in which the status quo is maintained and he enforces the existing ordinance, or you move to make some changes, at which time you can table enforcement, which again is very common. I have that in other municipalities, that if you're going to change the rules, right now we've been waiting 2 years in red line because of signs, so it's totally up to council.
And so if I'm correct, if council or a particular council member wants to move forward with looking at an ordinance amendment, you can make that motion. and
Correct.
Hopefully get a second and then a majority vote. Or if there's no interest from any council member, then you don't need to take any action. You just move forward.
That's correct.
So what are we doing right now? I mean, have you,
After the last meeting, I have not done any other enforcement because I want to wait to see what council decided tonight. So if council takes no action, then I'll resume enforcement. If council decides that they want to look at an amendment, then I'll hold that enforcement.
and how many properties are we looking at right now that have?
I only have issued one enforcement notice.
Okay.
Unfortunately, some others gave themselves up at the last
Yeah.
meeting. One of those, though, is in the ag district, so I think they're okay. But, so it would end up being 2 that I know of.
That's what I know of too.
So it'd be the one that we've already issued and then one other one.
Okay. I think that I think we all kind of feel a little sympathetic to some degree. But still, there's been things done that, people got animals in that they shouldn't have. I think that to clean it up, I would be in favor of letting them work at getting rid of. I mean, before you haven't.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I agree. Yeah,
We don't need to jump on this as far as,
No,
if they're, it'd be my coop and my chickens and my children, I would say, I need to do some homework and try to, orphan or get these things, adopted somewhere, not orphan, but, so that they can take care of them and still see them at least through their lifespan, and know that they, they had them, and then.
When I went down to the party that I issued the violation notice to. I went down and I knocked on their door and I spoke to her. And, like I explained to her at that time, because she was reaching a deadline, which was right before the last council meeting, I said, look, I know you're coming to council. I'm not going to do anything until after you talk to council. And of course, after council meeting, I said, I'm not going to do anything until I get clear direction from council, whether they're going to reconsider anything or not. But I did tell her at that time, if council, the last month said, no, we're not gonna change anything, and, you know, the ordinance stands as it is, I said, I'm not coming down here the next day to issue a fine.
Right.
I said, as long as you're working and if it takes a couple of weeks or a month or so, or what have you, that's fine. We're not looking, it's like all our other ordinances, we're not looking to fine you, as long as we know you're making an effort. So,
I agree.
because you can't rehome a chicken,
Right,
you know, real quick.
okay.
So, no, I just think that. So.
Yeah, I mean, there may be some people out there that are waiting for the, you know, this, they hear about this and say, we can help you out, you know, we're close, your kids can come here, you come here on the weekends, come every evening, you guys can see them through, because, you know, it's gonna be a time where the chickens aren't gonna produce anymore, and they'll be gone, but, okay.
I mean, too, the only thing I have for record is, again, you know, zoning and codes enforcement complaints are 95%, you know, actual complaints to the zoning officer. They're not, the borough's not going around looking for them unless they're blatantly obvious from public view. So, I mean, all code enforcement in the borough, I would say, is 95, if not more, complaint-based. You know, again, I agree, we're not looking for those problems unless, again, they're public view and an actual nuisance or safety violation. So take that as you will. But again, I think that's how it's always been. It's always been a complaint-based system. You know, so if nobody's complaining, you're probably not going to hear anything from us.
Anything else on chickens from anybody? Okay, any other unfinished business that was left on there?
No.
All right, new business.
Just need authorization from council to execute the fluke animal control services contract for next year. Their retainer is $200 plus $60 per hour for any services that they provide to the borough.
And that hasn't really changed from last year.
I think last year was 100. I think it did go up. But, I didn't pay anything this year, 24, for services.
Questions, motions, council?
A motion that we move ahead with the Clover Animal Control Service contract that's in front of us.
Motion by Bill, second by Deb. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Christmas toy drive.
Yeah, everyone has a copy of a letter received from the Valley Tavern. It's regarding, I know last year this came up, I think kind of, I don't know if it was October or November. But they're running their toy drive again, November 8th through December 7th. They're collecting toys, books, etc. for age newborn through 10 years. The items collected can be dropped off at the Valley Tavern during regular business hours, and they'll all be donated to the Lehman Center Crisis Nursery, and they'll all stay within York County. Anything that's donated. So I just want to pass that along, and I believe, if I remember correctly, last year council authorized it be put on our website and Facebook page as well. Just want to make sure the council's okay with that again this year.
Do you need that nod or you need a motion?
I think a consensus is fine.
We're not spending any money, we're okay, consensus would be fine, just say could do it.
Any problems with the secretary putting it on the website? Trick or treat?
Yeah, again, this is old hat, everyone knows, this is just routine. So, the Halloween night, October 31st, from 6 to 8, again, Valley Tavern's asking the borough to co-host a community trick-or-treat night. It'll be in the parking lot there at the Valley Tavern. Cost split in half between the borough and the Valley Tavern, with the borough reimbursing up to $200. In the past, it's usually been about $100, $125. So we just need a motion and a second to authorize that.
I will make a motion
Motion by Gary, second by Greg, all in favor? Opposed?
The next one here, York County Quick Response Team, we've been in the past contributing $200. So again, I just need authorization from council if you wish to, number one, contribute anything. And if you want to contribute the same as in past years, which is 200 or another amount.
And if I would recall, that's in the budget for $200.
Correct.
I make a motion to move forward with the $200 donation.
Motion by Bill, second by Mark, I'm sorry, Jeff. All in favor? Opposed? All right. Any other new business? Treasurer report. Everybody had a chance to review it? Any questions on it, comments?
The main thing I will mention is next month at the November meeting, I will have a spreadsheet put together how I would propose to council that you spend those COVID-19 funds, roughly 52,000.
Any questions or comments from council? If not, I will take a motion for the secretary to file a statement for audit and pay any regular bills until next month.
I will make a motion for that.
Motion by Gary,
Second.
second by Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Our auditor has finally completed the 2023 audit. Where Springfield Township Sewer Authority kept asking me, where's it at, where's it at, they need a copy, so, I can only do so much with the auditor. But nonetheless, you have a copy. It's been uploaded by the auditor to the Department of Community and Economic Development, the Governor's Center for Local Government. So it's been filed with the state as well. I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at it, if you have any questions, or if you look at it later, you have any questions, certainly let me know.
Was there any cover letter that came with this with any statement of
No.
findings? That's normally what we want to look at.
I'll email him, but you're right, it usually is a cover letter.
And it would appear that everything is completely in order, but you typically.
And he
get a
may
letter
have that
from them.
with, he may have that with the originals, because he has not yet returned
Okay.
2023 records, so they'll have copies of it in there, and I would imagine it's probably in there, but I'll get him to email that as well.
Is that typically uploaded on our website too, or not necessarily?
I think we do have something on there for audits, but if not, we can easily add something, and it should be.
And is that both the general fund and liquid fuels?
Yeah, that's everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll make a note here.
anything else for the treasurer? We will go to secretary's report.
Just two quick things. The first one is Oak Street paving. I talked to H&H, because the weather was so crappy the last 2-3 weeks, keeps getting pushed back. So their goal is that they will be in next week to do the paving on Oak Street. Yeah. So, as well as the patch base repair on Union Church Road. The other thing I had there, reported last month that I was going to attend virtually town hall meeting with the York County SPCA. They were looking to gather some information in advance to their York County Municipal Administrators meeting, which is all the York County managers and administrators meet on a monthly basis, and York County SPCA was actually hosting that meeting to talk about the future of the SPCA and the challenges that they're facing right now. Like, for example, their insurance doubled from $100,000 to $200,000. Of course, they have many other expenses. I was surprised and realized they have 66 employees. I know they had a ton of volunteers, and realized they had that many employed. But so anyway, the director that's there is, I think he's there now about 5 years. And of course, he's been getting feedback from these, and of course, we say it, we all say it, is, we feel like our hands are tied. They basically send us the SPCA contracts, it's going to be X amount, end of story. So what they ended up doing at the York County Administrators Association meeting, the SPCA is gonna work with that group, and they are forming an advisory committee to work with the municipalities. Whether it's on funding, for budgets or grants and so forth. So they haven't gotten that pulled together yet, but, it's, the director said their intent is not to, have the strong fist and wave it and tell you this is what you're gonna do. He wants to get the municipalities more involved to be part of the SPCA. So we'll see how that all pans out, but, that's our plans for, next year.
Question, not so much with the Oak Street paving, but I think there was mention last Borough Council about some of the line paint coming off. Did you get a chance to?
I did not.
Okay.
No.
Well,
I'll-
get the Travis next week.
Anything else for the secretary? Mayor's report?
Other than myself and Cheryl attended the most recent, County Boroughs Association meeting in Redline, I guess that was 2 weeks ago now. Speaker was Logan Stover, the Director of Policy and Legislative Affairs from the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs, basically the boroughs lobbyists. So he worked on Capitol Hill every day in Harrisburg, trying to fight for those things that the boroughs, need changing with the state law for us to do our business better or easier per se. They're working a lot now. I mean, probably by this time, I believe there's only 1 week left of the legislative session at this time after this week. So basically, there's 5 more days to try to push some things across that they're working on. A lot of the things, unfortunately, that they want right now don't really pertain to us as a borough, in our situation, that they're really trying to push for yet this legislative session. A couple of things that, they're trying to defend right now, not saying they're big, not saying they're bad, just, some of the wording needs change. The biggest one, of course, the workers' comp benefits for PTSD for first responders. Not that the boroughs are against that, but there's some things in that are unregulated. There's no caps on benefits and all that. We're not saying anything that is a bad law. There just needs to, with no caps, that means our workers' comp insurance premiums will rocket sky high, But, so there's some things there, especially with funding, they think, if that's the way they want to go, the state needs to pony up money, which we all will eventually have to pay for anyway. But again, not that they're saying it's bad, it's just, it needs amended and some work on before being passed. The other one, use by right in zoning, gives some developers some rights to build in single-family districts. Now, we don't really have development issues, in the borough, but again, around us could affect us too. The big things that they're working on that, they've been working on for years, local police radar, it's always been a big issue. Still working on that. Getting a lot of pushback from the state police, of course, on that. Stormwater management, on state roads, again, it's our responsibility for that. They really I brought it up, I think, the state, takes care of it in townships and other things, they could, looking at boroughs by population, some big public notice reform that they're still pushing for, again, public, hopefully, and right to know request reforms. But there's some of the big things that they're working on. Other than that, also, I will share it with Todd. The borough does have a site for updated grants that they update regularly, and I can share that information website with Todd and the password to get into that. that may come to us, here in the future where we may be able to find a need for that. Also, talked to, while I was there, the Trail Towns director or overseer basically, and kind of informed him with the playground where we're sitting and, he's more than welcome. He's happy to help us, hopefully match some funding grants that they have. So he likes the idea as well as being right along the rail trail. So in the future, we're definitely going to use them probably as a match for some of these grants, which, could help us, get to where we want to get on that. Other than that, our next association meeting, November 16th, is more of the gathering, get together, annual banquet. If anybody at the North Hopewell Winterstown Fire Company, again, it's more of the banquet, more of the celebration of the year and the work. And, anybody that may get municipal awards, service awards, you're more than welcome to join us and be recognized during that time. Other than that, I do not have anything else.
Anything from the mayor? All right, thank you. Liens system free, or does that go up?
Goes up to 5.
No, just the one for 35 Main Street. This one just for the one. Okay.
34.
Okay, good.
Not the fire hall.
The sewer report, any comments?
Okay, couple of things I want to point out to everybody. First of all, do item 1 first. Todd, I'll be good at 9.
He'll get to your name eventually.
Jeez.
He needs a mom
It's a
yard.
Monday.
Like a mom
I
yard.
know.
After his bedtime.
But anyway, Todd did a great job of getting information on the delinquents, all that paperwork he sent. It's very informative. Getting to their report, the one thing, starting on page 1 of their revenues and expenses, one thing to remember when you're reading through these things, that when you look at user fees for revenue, this is only 8 months. And if you look at, 8 months of what you're supposed to be based on their budget at 153,000, we're actually at 162, which means you're Seven Valley Borough is paying more in revenue than what they anticipated. But keep in mind, based on billing cycles, that may not be 100% on board. It's good, but you're obviously not in a delinquency there. Couple other things, if you go to page 3, you look at the various expenses that they have listed on there, some of which could affect us and some that don't. Obviously, the repairs for Seven Valleys, for the maintenance and repairs is over budget already. Or actually, no, it's not. That one's not. But again, some of those are seasonal. And some of the reason I bring some of this stuff up is because the next mediation session is supposedly they're going to look at a lot of the capital improvements that they're looking at doing. And it also is interesting looking in their minutes that they're back to getting credits for nitrogen. They have to buy credits because they're over capacity in the nitrogen that they're putting into the system. They've got to buy nitrogen, they've got to buy phosphorus credits. Those were and again, there was the delinquent list that they provided versus the much more extensive list that was provided by the authority solicitor. And, again, you get to the last 2 pages when they show their evaluation of the collection system by the operator, environmental services. They're having problems with the Seneca Ridge pump station. They're having problems with the Valley Road pump station. And it's not just ours that's causing problems. So they could be looking at some substantial improvements. So this idea that when the bonds are paid off or paid down in a couple of years, I think you're going to probably be looking at the need to do some capital improvements. So anything's possible. That's all I saw in this one.
I have a question. Where do you go to buy nitrogen credits?
Other sewer,
Sam's Club?
other sewer plants that are under capacity.
Okay.
Basically.
Do you have any idea where you?
Yeah, see, this is one of the things, and this has been ever since the crackdown 15, 20 years ago on the Chesapeake Bay. to reduce nitrogen and phosphorus. And just as an aside, if anybody gets the Chesapeake Bay Journal newspaper, there's a couple of very interesting articles in there about this. There was apparently a Conewaga Creek up in the northern end of the county. There was a trial there to do, if I read it right, riparian buffers to try to reduce the agricultural runoff. And basically says, just a little tiny blurb, that it didn't work. Doesn't say why, but it says it didn't work. There were like one in Virginia, one in Maryland, one in Pennsylvania that supposedly they did that. But anyway, going back to that, if there are plants that operate in a surplus where, like, and this isn't happening, but let's say the Glen Rock Sewer Treatment Plant had, if we had 176 surpluses, meaning we were under by 176 phosphorus of what we would need, we could actually sell those credits to Springfield Township. Again, Glen Rock isn't, but I'm just using that as an example. If you have a sewer plant that is operating in a positive, they can actually do a credit trade by selling the credits so that Springfield Township will be in compliance.
So this is all part of like the water runoff and what we're doing to prevent water runoff into the Chesapeake Bay.
Well, it's to prevent the phosphorus and nitrogen going into the Chesapeake Bay and the efforts. I mean, they're looking at, and they did a very good, they said, we've got maybe a $514,000 project. Because if you recall, they were doing the dewatering centrifuge a number of years ago, because there are limits that are placed on sewer treatment plants for nitrogen and phosphorus. Because this was all done, millions, I mean, literally millions of dollars was spent to reduce nitrogen and phosphorus at point sources, meaning sewer treatment plants. Now, and I argued about this at a seminar 15 years ago, that the money would have been better spent with reinforcing riparian buffers, because the main nitrogen and phosphorus is runoff from the agricultural use. Pesticides, land application of some sorts of the manure, which, again, by the way, just to let people know, if anybody doesn't know, a farmer can put their manure on their field without having to be tested. You have human waste that goes through a treatment plant, has 1 million tests that have to be done before it can be land applied to make sure that the metals are out of it and everything else. But yeah, but I mean, you heard years ago, there was a lot of complaints about things that were going on, land application of sludge from treatment plants. I can say from my own experience, what goes on from the treatment plant is a lot better than what goes on from ag, because it's not regulated. But it's supposed to be tilled under a lot of things. But again, if you read those articles in the Bay Journal, it just tells you that the main problem is still agricultural runoff. So
you can't just go by one, you need to try to do projects to.
Yeah, there was somewhere where there was I hate to use the term bank, but there was I think it was through the state, that there was a coordination where someone like Springfield that needed them could go to find out who had credits available for purchase.
I feel like the last time they bought from New Oxford or somewhere last year, the last year, but anyway.
I got a question. I mean, there's people in a couple of businesses that they know are repeatedly having issues with it, and they don't do anything about it. I mean, they keep kicking the can down the road. It's like, we're waiting for their testing. It's been going on one has been going on since they've been in the plant together. And I mean, they're one of the root causes of having to buy credits.
Well, if I read some of that, that's not, I don't necessarily know that their nitrogen and phosphorus was high, but if it is, that's obviously part of the problem. It's like any type of enforcement. You try your best to work with people as long as they're showing an effort. It beats give them a fine, because what good does it do? It doesn't solve the problem.
It doesn't, but some of the, you read some of the reports in here, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Every month, and it's, it's like they almost, there's nothing being done on their part to try to.
But I did talk to the sewer authority operator today about two things. I had a call about Church Street, about the smell pumping station. He said normally what happens from the vibration on that, the latches, the hatches come unlatched at the vibration and causes not to seal, so we did check that out while I had him on the phone. A couple months back, we talked about the manhole in manhole 4 there at the Valley parking lot, and we never heard anything about it, and I did question him about that, and he said they put a meter in that manhole to check flow, but they think it also is coming from the corner of the church and Main Street, where they did back in, I believe he said 19, when they did some digging and repair work, that they obviously, he still thinks there's issues there that are causing excessive runoff. So he said he's supposed to get to it next week and scope it and televise it and see what's going on. So that is kind of the ideal of what maybe some of our, I and N, or whatever. Yeah. So, but again, it was just nice to finally get some kind of feedback of what had happened, because that was in the minutes and then it just kind of died and nobody was brought back up. So that's where they sit. And he's supposed to call me back when he gets some more, definitive answers or whatever from that.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, and I something chase constantly.
Yeah.
Figure out what's cost efficient to go after. I know one of the last mediations, when I was talking to the chairman of the board, and they were absolutely convinced that our problem was sump pumps, and not so.
All right, anything else on sewer? Todd?
A quick thing is, I emailed everyone, I only know one person that I think is eligible for the service award, and that's Greg for 30 years. And next year will be Gary and Deb for 10 years. If anyone knows of anything different than what I emailed you, let me know, otherwise I'm gonna send that into the Your Campers Association. That's all I have.
Mike?
Nothing.
Mike's calls?
Nope.
Cheryl?
No, I talked to Todd after.
I do. So a club that I'm in at school is hosting a trunk or treat at the football stadium on October 29th at like 5 p.m. And it's going to be all the fall sports teams and clubs are set up like around the track and out candy. That's all it is.
Thank you.
What time does that start?
5.
And is that for like all kids?
Yeah, it's for all.
Is there an end time?
So then
There's a social media
The
that
game's
has to
on.
be shared.
it's on the like Spring Grove area account on the Facebook account. Share on
Like the Spring Grove School.
the school
district
district. Yeah.
Along with that trunk or treat, isn't there like a movie night going
No,
on
yeah,
on the
the-
scoreboard?
Yeah. Hocus Pocus is going to be on.
That's kind of cool. Might as well use that scoreboard for something.
Oh, there's a key.
No, it's an expensive project.
Be careful, our taxes might go up.
Doug?
With trick or treat, anybody that can help from the borough, again, it would be greatly appreciated. I believe, my parents will be out of town actually that day, and that, going into that weekend, so their kitchen manager is planning on running it, but again, anybody that can come down and help would be greatly appreciated. That's it.
Gary?
Mike Ronco and I met with Sean Fabian and Maddie from HRG, Herbert, Rowland, and Rubeck Incorporated. They're the ones doing the stream survey out here for feasibility and access for kayaking, canoeing, whatever. And we met with them. Mike did a drive around, looked at some points, Maple Street, the train station, over at, from Pete's Farm area, and then over here at the fire hall. So they have got a deal together next week. They're gonna talk this over again and see if any of this can ever really happen. It was something that we talked about a long time ago with the creek access, and just to let you know that it's still ongoing. But if anybody has any input, I have his contacts here, or I could email him on anything if you have any ideas of it. It's probably just good to get your foot in the door on something. They were really did a good job, I think, for the time I spent. You spent more time with them than I did, but they were sort of really amazed at the history around the area here. And once they started talking to Mike and I, they were like, well, this is something that could really happen. It's unfortunate that that isn't like a 5-mile stretch and it would all be public or, property that is accessible. But it's so broken up between here and Butler Station that probably won't happen, but they're still working on it. That's it.
Thank you. Mark? Greg?
Yeah, no, this doesn't have anything to do with the borough, but I would like to.
bring it in.
Anyways, I'd like to ask everybody to keep the people in North Carolina and in Florida in their prayers, okay? I've donated to the people in North Carolina. I went to the cruise on Wednesday, and I would like, if we need help in Florida, because I didn't know if the borough could do something like, like Franklin Graham has what they call Samaritan Purse, and I didn't know if the borough, say the Florida would need really help now, because that's gonna be a Cat 5. I have relatives that live in Florida. And I was wondering, is there any way the borough can donate to that Samaritan Purse? Out of Mike, I just thought it.
I would say not, but there's nothing wrong with individual members of council and family.
Oh, okay, that's what I wanted to know, the council, so I'm just saying that I think it would be nice if, we could do something for them when it hits, because I know I have a relatives leaving and we're going to Georgia, because she said it's supposed to be a Cat 5, and she figures she's gonna get 4 feet of water in her house, till she comes back, she'll be lucky if she has a house.
The other thing, Deb, you can keep in mind is that you can donate to the Lions Club International Fund, LCIF. LCIF does specific a lot for disaster relief. They did a lot with those Tennessee issues a couple of years ago. We're not seeing a whole lot right now unfortunately going to North Carolina. We can't figure out why. But that's there as far as private organizations.
Last Wednesday, because they had the big sign there at the intersection. I had my whole trunk full, and they said they moved dog food, but I couldn't put any more in my car, so.
All right, thank you. Bill?
No.
All right, we are gonna open back up to public comment.
Hi there, Jessica Vallis, 22 Cherry Street. I want to talk to Deb. I know you said that there were a lot of people who stopped you at the post office.
I had people, I didn't say a lot of people.
The
I
people.
just said people talked to me at the post office.
About what time do you regularly visit the post office?
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
No, this is serious, because if you're going to the post office at 2 o'clock every day, you're only getting a certain demographic of people who are available.
Well, I can't tell you what time, because I don't.
Okay, well then how about this? What was their general demographic? Were they of a certain age group, or were they not?
No, I'd say some of them were my age.
Okay,
Some of them were less than my age. I'm done talking about this. I'm telling you, we've already said, we made the decision. I'm not gonna keep talking about this with chickens, because you're about ready to hear what I really want to say, but I can't say it because we're on YouTube.
yeah, and you were watching.
I'm done with it.
I do have another,
Oh, good.
yeah, I do have another question for Deb, and I'm gonna ask everybody in the room, because, there's a significant age difference between myself and so many of you, Deb, on council. How many of you get to know all the new families that move in, or are you primarily like just only interacting with the neighbors you've had for a very long time? Well, I know Mark meets everybody in town because of his shop, so he's exempt from this. Gary, when was the last time you met a new family in town?
I met you.
I knew you years ago.
Well, I do meet quite a few, I would say. Don't know exactly where they live, but it's no secret that I frequent the Valley Tavern and Finley's, and there's a lot of residents that have inside and outside that I would see there.
What
And
would you say their general demographic is?
as far as,
Like, are they young with young families? Are they older? Are they retired?
it's a mix. Yeah, I think it would be a mix. Not a lot of retired,
Okay,
more younger people, and
okay.
I would think, yeah.
I have the same question for you, Fred.
You have one more.
Okay, one last thing then, because y'all, so do you guys know what the median household income is in Seven Valleys? Which means the average that somebody makes is $46,000 a year. When you consider the age of our town, founded in 1736, and 38, I'm sorry.
18.
No, our town was founded, it was incorporated in 18. When you consider that, our houses are very old. My house was was built in 1843. When you consider the median household income, the state of the houses, and when people are asking for something like backyard chickens, which are affecting their quality of life, I don't know if we're not seeing a correlation, if the people you are interacting with are lifelong residents who maybe have their houses paid off, who are able to upkeep with the property. The median age in the town is 34, so I would just be curious to see, if those are the people you interact with. The last thing is that my neighbor, Mandy at 18 Cherry Street, said that when she spoke with Todd, he had mentioned a hardship exemption. I believe she had said the hardship exemption was $450.
Because it's a variance
Mhm.
request, which you have to prove a hardship, and that falls under the zoning ordinance.
Okay,
And that falls under the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code.
okay.
Um,
I feel like that exemption is very discriminatory towards people who are having a financial hardship. When you have families in this borough who are having electricity shut off, and they have a decision between paying their electric or to pay for a hardship exemption. So again,
Let me shed a little light on this, just.
well, just hold on, I just have a minute, so I would just like to finish.
You're not real, okay.
No, but it's okay, Mike, it's okay, unless it's a law.
It is.
Okay, all right.
But what Todd's referring to is that anyone who wishes to get relief from a zoning ordinance can file a request for a variance. One of the requirements for variance under zoning, this is for anything, use, dimension, doesn't matter. You have to prove what's called unnecessary hardship. Unnecessary hardship means you cannot use the property for any permitted purpose, or you can only do so at prohibited expense. Has nothing to do with people's financial situation. It is literally a hardship physical hardship on the property.
Okay, that was not
I
how it
just want to
was
make sure
that's
you
not how it
understand
was
that. I will,
conveyed to my neighbor.
which is why I wanted to make sure you
For
understood.
clarification, you were not present when I
No,
spoke to you.
no, I didn't hear it
So you're-
secondhand.
Right.
The very last thing, and I'll be quick, is, so Deb, I know you don't want to talk about this anymore, but I do have a right every single month to come up here and ask you.
I'm gonna
So,
tell
wait,
you-
I only have like 20 seconds left. So could I come up every single month and bring this chicken thing up, and then it would just be held until the next month when you have to vote again to shoot it down?
No, I think what people need to understand, public comment periods are simply public comment. The council or any elected body, they're welcome to respond if they like to, but they're not obligated to respond. It's public comment. It's the opportunity for the public to come in, say what's on their mind. Council never has to respond to anyone if they don't want to, not just this, but any elected body. That's under, again, Pennsylvania state law.
Yeah,
I would just, again, refer you to these statistics about our borough that are on the website. And just ask yourself, if you're interacting daily with the people who are about 34 and making $46,000
$46,000 a year.
Thank you.
I
Is there any other
No,
public
I need to
comment?
ask her, Jessica?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I have somebody that lives in this town, is 80 years old. If those people are having trouble paying their electric, they can go to call Kristen Hill or Zeth Grove. She gets help with her rent, okay? Every month, she gets what they call the rent rebate. She goes to, she gets help with her gas bill and her other bills. So if they're in that bad shape, they need to call Kristen Hill or Zeth Grove and ask for that stuff, because they will mail that to them, and you can get help with your electric.
You have the town.
No, we can't. And they can even apply for food stamps. Don't tell me they can't find help in place.
No, they have a lot of those things right now, and it's still a hardship.
Any other
Here,
public
quick
comment?
Google, it says average household income in Seven Valley, Pennsylvania is $74,000 in 2022. So it's.
Well,
you know,
but it
you gotta
must have
do-
increased since the
Yeah,
website was up.
Was that also due to the COVID influx that we were getting the supplements? Also, it probably was.
But they can get a lot of help. All they need to do is call Kristen Hill's office or Seth Grove's office.
I would challenge all of you to talk to somebody younger than you who has small children and just see, how they feel about the borough. Because I don't feel like people my age are represented up here, and obviously we come to the elections and we'll change that. But
Well,
just
I
knowing
know you're
that-
talking about hardships, and I can, let Sharon,
Exactly.
her mother just passed away, and she lived on hardly anything, but she could pay all her bills.
Yep.
That's
She
really
and a
good
single,
for her.
yeah, and it was nothing. It was peanuts compared to your 46,000.
And the same way with
Yeah,
our
and she
plan.
rented too, so you know what rent is. It's almost as much as.
I don't want to cut anybody off. Does anybody else have any public comment before I end the meeting? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Jessica, what's your source for